from there. So hey, thanks. Sorry about that. We're running a little long. Dan's dropping a lot of wisdom, and he
No,
gets
it's
rolling.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Yeah. So, got any plans for the weekend?
We're not sure. I have a 50, I have a 49% vote, no matter what happens. So
You
hopefully
get
involves,
49%?
yeah, that's when I bring the kids in on the equation. So
Yeah, that adds about 10% back over. Oh, that's for sure. So let's see. So heck, we'll get started now. Everybody will file back in, but I'll get you introduced.
okay.
So we'll get started. Cool. So hey, today we're joined by Scott Bell, VP in Partnerships and Governance at Q Cells in Cartersville, Georgia, where he leads HR, Environmental Health and Safety, External Affairs, and Compliance for a 2,000 person solar manufacturing facility. You got a lot of hats you wear there. He brings more than 2 decades of global HR and leadership experience, including senior roles at Southwire, Buckeye Partners, Rowan Companies, Transocean, where he oversaw teams across Asia, Australia, and the U.S. His journey began in the United States Marine Corps, where he served as an officer before moving into corporate recruiting and eventually into global HR leadership. He's built a reputation for developing high performing teams, driving cultural transformation, and aligning business strategy with people strategy. Today, he's going to share some insights from both his military transition and career leading for people first organizations in diverse industries. So, welcome, sir. So, I'll get you started right off. So, what was the most unexpected challenge you faced many years ago when you left the Corps and threw on the old button down?
Well, that's a good question. So many things. Probably the most kind of aha moment was the fluidity with which business just is transacted. So I can remember when I first got out, we went to lunch and the group, it was a small company I worked for, and we went to lunch, and I think it was a Mexican restaurant, and we just started. We're talking through business, through lunch, ordering margaritas, having fajitas, conducting business of the company. And I looked around at the other colleagues, and some are in shorts and some are doing this, but we're deep into the finance of the company and trying to figure things out over a margarita in a Mexican restaurant. So I think the biggest kind of shock was that there are no boundaries after you leave the military in terms of when business is conducted and how it's conducted, and I guess the rule sets that I would have been used to um, just no longer really applied in terms of not that the military you get to turn off, but it's like the meeting occurs in this space and in uniform and in this conference room, and not the same case in business. It happens wherever it needs to happen. So that was kind of the biggest. Oh wow, okay. It was a lot of fun too. So I think that's the biggest epiphany that when I left is it doesn't doesn't have any of the structure that you might have become accustomed to and comfortable with in the military.
Yeah, all of a sudden you're not sitting there in front of the screens in a conference room in uniform, rigidly discussing things like, yeah, I'll have
Yeah.
another drink. So how many millions are we ahead with blah blah blah?
Right.
That's
Right.
great.
And it can be big or small things. And I think the other thing too is that uniforms don't matter. Age doesn't matter. Prior experience doesn't matter. It's really what do you bring to that meeting that time? Are you present? Are you contributing? And if you're not, shut up. Just listen, learn. I think there's kind of a built-in hierarchy of respect that is earned and necessary in an organization. And not to say that it doesn't exist outside of the military structure, because there's certainly hierarchical structures everywhere else, but it's a lot more based on your abilities and what you're bringing that moment to that meeting is how you're judged. So yeah, I found it very refreshing. I get to bring my dog to work and have a margarita and talk about things it was a very different atmosphere, and that was the one of the things that really made a difference. Just leaving, it was quite refreshing. It was a little jarring because you're like, oh, okay. So it didn't really matter what I did yesterday. What am I doing right now in
What
this
do I do?
moment and in this meeting? So Does that answer the question?
That is quite the transition.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. I have not heard that answer yet. I liked it. That sounds a lot better than
Okay.
some of them,
Well,
that's for sure.
well, I mean, and I've
Um,
worked
so I mean,
as you read
the
through the
mil
things that, kind of where I've been before. I've been in so many different countries, so many different companies, and they all have their own rule sets and things. But if I boil it down, it's that barriers are, really the constraints of the company are driven around what are they trying to accomplish, and the mission is uh, very unique to that particular business that you're engaged with. And so, what is the most efficient way for them to do that?
yeah, I mean, you got to eat lunch, but you got to get work done, so make it both
Hmm.
happen.
Hmm.
So I mean, back on the military on the military leadership stuff, I mean, do you still lean on those skills? Do they sometimes hinder you? I mean, that had to be quite the change that, heading over to the leadership sector. Did you find like, hey, this is great, but Godzilla, don't do this?
No, I mean, yeah, I mean, there are some things again, but most of it you can really lean into. There's a lot of fantastic skills that I don't know how else I would have kind of grown up without the military there, but it goes back to the previous guest. It was he said scrap loyalty. I completely disagree. 100% opposite
Yeah.
that answer. Um, build loyalty, build trust, establish relationships, prove that you're a capable partner. That those are the measures, and those are the things that I did when I was in the Marines. It was like, yeah, okay, I'm the whatever, the captain in charge of this thing, but I'm here to knock a wall down that you can't, but you're going to do things that I can't. So what are you good at? Okay, great. I'll be good at some of the other things. But I think some of the just basic care that people have for one another and respect that they earn from one another that I I think I picked up in the military, super valuable, most valuable. And the higher you get in an organization, the more important those aspects are. Because there's nothing that I do in a facility or any of the companies I've ever done that I'm really doing by myself. I mean, I do some things by myself. Yeah, I'm not totally incompetent, but most of what I'm doing is saying, well, what do you know? Okay, well, what does she know? All right, well, how do we get you guys together in solving this? What's in the way? How do I get it out of the way for you? And so the skills of teamwork and collaboration and building trust and creating, whatever it's a servant leader, follow this, whatever the terms are, but being present and being accessible and demonstrating to the teams that you work with that their work matters and is critical to the success of the business is the most important thing. So I think there's a lot of things that whether you knew you gained that in the military or not, um, I would say that those are the things that companies most value, in my experience, is get stuff done. I mean, none
Yeah.
of you, when you joined the military, knew anything about anything. Maybe you knew how to, I don't know, shoot a gun or climb down a rope or something, but everybody ever fly a helicopter before or shoot a missile or no, you had to learn all of that stuff. And every company you join, they're going to be making solar panels and cars and potato chips. You don't know a Scooby Doo about any of that stuff either, but you do know how to, work with a team and collaborate and learn and etc. That's the skill that I most find valuable. And when people are frank and honest about that, that is the most valuable quantity to me. When I interview people or meet people with the team, I don't want them faking it till they make it. That's like false. I'm like, I know you don't know this. Don't pretend you know this. Uh,
Learn.
tell me what you know. And they're like, well, I don't know anything. I was like, that's an awesome answer. Let's go teach you some stuff.
Mhm.
um, because again, it's just one of the most valuable aspects is are those trust things and those where how do you fit in?
Yeah, and every culture is different. I mean, like, coming from a law professor, yeah, I expect the cut the next guy's throat thing in the law side of things. That is not a surprise to me at all.
Mm,
But like a certain company like yours, like, yeah, I totally, yeah, loyalty can go a long way. It's just awareness. But looking back at, that dinner, that lunch in the Mexican restaurant, how important do you feel that first role was in your career trajectory? That first role out of the military,
Yeah.
how did that shape your career, do you think?
Uh, you know, uh, it was kind of unique because when I got out, I didn't know what I wanted to be. I had no idea. I was like, what, same as many people maybe on the call here. I don't know what am I good at? I have no idea. And so I actually used like a search firm and everything else that everybody does. And in that process, they ended up hiring me. They're like, hey, you're pretty good at this stuff. I'm like, well, good at what? They're like, just talking. I'm like, okay. Would you like to do this? I said, not at all. No way I want to be a headhunter. You can pack that. No, thank you. And they're like, well, here are the hours and this is what it pays. I'm like, I think I could do that. So that first
That sounds
job,
good.
yeah, the first job, I think, uh, I don't know. It's a good question. I don't know what was special about that first and most critical about that first job. I think it was being in that when the industry that went into first when I separated from the Marines was as a headhunter, right? So I went inside Michelin Tire and Anderson Consulting and KPMG and Deloitte and all these different companies that were making things and hiring other military people. And I would go into I can remember going to Dothan, Alabama with Michelin Tire. And my job was represent both people exiting the military, that were looking for work, and then companies like Michelin that were looking to hire people. And I said, the Michelin people are like, oh, we want blah, 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 blah. And I very politely listened to them and then walk their facility. I'm like, well, I'd like to see Dothan. So I walk in the plant, I'm walking around, and it's loud, noisy, and smells funny. And I mean, burning tires and all kinds of weird stuff. Impressive as hell, amazing facility. But they were describing what their wish list was. Well, I want somebody that's, got all these skills, top drawer education, and these kinds of abilities and whatever. And then I want them to work in this tire factory. I was like, well, that would be awesome. Um, that's not going to work. Yeah, I'm being very honest with you, client. That's not going to work. What's going to work, based on what I've seen just in my day in Dothan, Alabama, is you need somebody that's going to be able to relate to that line worker, relate with that 17-year-old that's dealing with stress financially at home. You're going to deal with those. That looks like a bully over there, and he's picking on those other people right there. You need somebody to be able to resolve that situation. And you need somebody good in the boardroom that can talk about why the money isn't working out, about the operational needs of the facility. So you don't need Ivy League that you're describing. You need military. You need these skills because that person's going to come in and go, guess what? I'm experienced with bullying. That happens. I got a
Yeah.
whole bunch of 18 to 26-year-olds from all over the world crammed into a ship, a boat, a desert, or something, and there's gonna be a fight. And these guys are good at resolving it. And oh, guess what? They've managed financial issues and they've dealt with people and they've dealt with hardship. And they are going to be great for your team. They're going to listen to them, they're going to understand them, and they're going to help teach them making tires. And he's like, God, it makes a lot of sense. And guess what? Crushed it. They were a huge client for us, placed tons of people there. And these people didn't know anything about making a tire, but they knew exactly how to build a team, how to get involved with a team, how to mature that group, and how to, bring them together. And so that first career move let me inside a lot of companies to look at the, kind of peel it back. And they go, hey, this is what we think is good. And I'm like, okay, well, that is good, but that's not going to fit. And to
Yeah.
be honest, and so we lost some clients. Clients like, I don't really like that answer, Scott. We want what we want. I'm like, well, then I'm not the guy for you. The people that I'm going to bring are not going to last with you. I can probably find that person, but they're not going to thrive or enjoy this environment. And they're going to leave you. So
Mhm.
it's really, it was a refreshing first job because one, it gave personally and selfishly gave me opportunity to see a ton of companies and go, I like that. I like that. I like that. And maybe I want to be that when I grow up. But it was also gave me, perspective in kind of the many of the companies' lenses about how they saw candidates. and that they might want to hire, and kind of why they thought they were the right hires for them.
Well, yeah, when you got, use the phrase college boy coming in who doesn't have any of that practical experience with, the more lower enlisted manufacturing type of stuff where like, yeah, it's going to be rough and tumble. There's going to be different communication issues, very different personalities. They don't have that
Yeah.
experience that the folks coming
Yeah.
out of the military do with
Yeah,
resolving
same.
those
I
things.
mean, it's and it's same when it was blue collar, when it was all blue collar, it was all salary people. Same issues. I mean, it's a bunch of college kids in the room. They don't know what to do. They have no idea. A bunch of hourly workers. They don't. Same. It's the same issue. So whether your background is enlisted, officer, warrant officer, what you're gonna there's plenty of opportunity. All of those amazing skills, amazingly valuable right out the gate. And in a company that doesn't value it, you don't want. Right. I can tell you right now, like, I really want this to work. No, you really don't. Because you're going to go and you force your way into it. I mean, like, if I could just say it a little different, be a little different person, I'll get in and this will be great. And we're like, oh, okay, you're going to pretend for how long? Like, well, I really hate it, but I really need it to work. Okay, well, I can run. I choose not to at this age, but you go to work every day, and guess what? Hey, we're running. I'm like, oh crap, running again? I don't want to do that. Well, go find a job that's going to suit what you want to do, who you really are. Because guess what? When you do that, you're going to be very excited, very happy, and your work performance and collaboration with others just gets escalated because you really enjoy the work. So there's tons of stuff out there. You're going to find something that's going to suit your individual skills and desires. Um, but yeah, I think that's the real key to a lot of this stuff is just knowing who you are and what you're able to do, and then don't fake it uh, because they're going to find out pretty fast you don't know.
Yeah. I mean, do you wish somebody whispered something in your ear, some great secret before you got out and you had to figure something out that took you a while?
Um, no, I mean, it might be this. It just might be it's okay that you don't know everything. You are the things that you bring, whatever they are hugely valuable, and you should know that and lean into that, and then just don't pretend. I often I've interviewed, I don't know, tens of thousands of people over the last 30 years, and in every country on the planet almost. Worked all over the place with oil and gas and other companies. Um, and we're all built the same. It doesn't matter. It's all built the same. But the story that I usually talk about is like, okay, you can't tell from the camera, but I'm 6'3", so I'm not a small guy. I'm relatively tall. I work in a South Korean company, so I'm huge right now. I'm like a Goliath. But so it's a funnier joke given the current environment that I'm in. But I'll say, look, I do love the game of basketball, and so I would go to a pickup game of basketball. Not recently, but let's say a minute ago, and they would say, "Hey, Scott, we want you on your team." And I'd be, first off, I'm honored. I'm very grateful that you picked me. Um, by the way, I suck. They're like, "What?" I said, "I love basketball. I think it's an amazing game. I like to play, but I'm no good at it." They're like,
Mhm.
"Oh, we've chosen poorly." I said, "Well, I am tall, so I will do tall very well. I will be the tallest player here, and I will get the rebound, and I'm going to be excellent at this. And I'm passionate about the game." Okay, good. I like to shoot the ball. I don't mind trying, and I think I can get better. I'm pretty good at it. I'm not great, but I'm okay. And then, but over here, if you ask me to like move the ball around the court and there's pressure in my face and people trying to steal the ball, I may as well just hand it to them. So I'm good at being tall. I'm okay at shooting the basketball, and I really suck with moving the basketball. And guess what? If I say that, the team is like, awesome. That's great to know because you love the game. We love the game. I'm not good at being tall. You do that. I'm great at these ball skills. So guess what? The first time we play, we suck. But the second time, we're better. My ball skills didn't improve at all. The third time, we play even better. How did that happen? Because we know I'm good at this. You're good at that. She's good at this. And the teams figure out how to work. And so Every company everywhere has that. And so if you come in, that's why I say don't fake it till you make it. Just say, look, I'm delighted to be here. I'm excited to work here. Here's what I'm good at. And here's the things I'm not good at. And if you're okay with that, let's get on with it. If you're not okay with that, then let me know right away so I can go somewhere else and do something else. But that has been the universal kind of rule set for almost everywhere. People want to fit in, they want to be successful. But some feel it's very hard to say, I'm no good at this. That is like most awkward conversation ever. But it's one of the most valuable things to say. You got to have something. You got to have some things you bring to the table. Say, hey, I'm good at. Because otherwise, they're like, well, why are we even having this conversation? There's nothing you bring to the table at all. You got to have something, right? There's something to get you in there, but you don't have to be everything. And I think that's that transparency and honesty about abilities are what starts to establish trust with that other person and with that other team and with that organization. And once you get that, they're going to give you more and more responsibility. Like, I trust that you're going to do this. Okay, and you will. And you're going to tell me if you're not, because you've already established. You started with, you know what? If I don't know, I'm going to ask. Okay, cool. Well, then can you do this? Well, I'll sure try. Okay, that's fair. But if it's like, oh, I got this, and they just assume you're going to just crush it and you suck at that, then you've eroded the trust. You've lost it. But so that is probably the most universal truth. And that would be the one message that just be yourself, be honest about what you do, and don't be afraid to say, I'm not good at something, because that's valuable information, and it helps the teams establish kind of where to fit you in. And when they tell you you don't fit, that's fine. I mean, you can argue a little bit, but it's kind of a lose-lose battle because companies they want to succeed, right? And and they are looking at people as a tool and a resource that will help them succeed as a business. And if they go, this doesn't look right, it doesn't feel like it's going to be successful, no, trust their judgment. They know. And they're going to go, this isn't going to work. That's okay. You can argue a little bit, but at some point you're like, you know what? I don't know. It's kind of painful. Like, I don't fit and they don't think I fit. But it's not because they're being, jerks. They interviewing is the least efficient process. It is the least value add activity for any organization. It's like, oh, we're going to take an hour and spend some time with somebody that 1 in 10 is going to work. Oh, God, I'm so tired. I don't want to do this anymore. So they are desperately trying to find the person that fits. They go into every interview like, this could be the one. I hope it's the one. And when they say it,
Crap.
Did
Is
he
this him
freeze?
frozen up?
Yeah, I was hoping it was not on my side.
Yeah, it's been jogging back and forth. I wasn't sure if it was me or him. Crap. He's got some great stuff.
Yeah, for real.
He was cooking.
If I didn't see you guys' heads moving, I was like, did I freeze up?
And I almost called Cox real quick, man.
It's probably logging back in now, I hope. He's a good speaker.
No, I like his style, the honest approach. I've always said that I'd rather have somebody stab me from the front than stab me in the back.
Look, Chuck, I don't want anybody stabbing me at all. How about that?
Well, yeah, that's preferred.
Are you going to get that combat experience?
Service connected.
Probably get a medal.
I'm on you with that service connected. Let's go.
Maybe you can claim
I'll
it
take
after
the service connected over the metal any day.
Oh, definitely.
you get out.
How did you get a Purple Heart in SkillBridge?
You earned the Presidential Commendation Medal in SkillBridge? How the heck did that happen?
Well, whoops.
Hey, there we go.
Hey,
There
sorry
you
about
are.
that.
You're
Yeah,
mid.
I'm sure I
You
was
were
in
killing
some
it.
awesome moment there. I quick apology. I'm working on an iPad in a factory, a 2.5 million square foot factory that is at the 99% complete today. So apparently our network connection is less than 100% stable. Apologies.
We know the percent that's left.
Yeah,
No worries.
IT.
Those sons of.
Yeah,
Hey, so
I
you
know.
mentioned you've done.
I'll gladly come on board to help you out with that.
Hey, so
We
you
got about
mentioned.
150, data scientists, IT people here already. So I think hopefully there's one in the 150 that can do this stuff.
Hey, so you're talking about zillions of interviews and not fake it till you make it. So, like, what are the common mistakes you see vets making on those interviews when they come in the door?
Uh, I think sometimes like just an over one just being just straight up nervous. It's the general public looks at the military. This is a broad generalization, right? They look at the military and go, bunch of cool characters right there. They're flying out of plane, jumping out of planes, blowing stuff up under the ocean, nerves of steel. And then they show up in the interview, sweating bullets, can't form a sentence. And you're like, hmm. So I think the biggest mistake they make is they just overthink it. Like the other person on the other side of the table didn't put their pants on the same way, and they're just nerved out about the experience. You bring amazing skills, and you should carry that with confidence into the meeting. So I think that's if there's a mistake, it's just overly formal or overly nervous or way too much military jargon or just the normal things that people do when they are nervous. Just I know it's hard to say don't be nervous, but it just yeah. The person that your spouse fell in love with, be that version of you. The one that's relaxed around a barbecue pit, talking with whoever about the game. Come in with confidence, come in relaxed in the person that you've created over your decades of life. And just sit down and have a conversation with people. Like, what are you doing here? How can I help you? Here's what I did. Is that any value to you? Okay. Just that kind of conversation. I think you're gonna be fine. Now, is that true for all cases? No, there's some, I currently we're in a South Korean company. So, there's some formalities, some of the initial meetings, just like you would if you meet, that spouse's parents for the first time. Yeah, you could be nervous. That's okay. You should be polite. Yeah, that's okay. A little bit more formal. Probably. But pretty quickly they want to see what their daughter or son sees in this other person. And same with companies. So I think when you get in, well, some of the biggest mistakes are just, bringing too many nerves into the meeting and not being comfortable in your own skin.
Yeah, I mean, I've been guilty of that too. Walking in and it's like I'm so geeked up, I'm ready to go. This is what I want, and then, yeah, it's tough to do that. But I like your approach. Be who your spouse met.
Mhm.
That's pretty good. So I
As
mean, how
long
do
as
you?
as long as you measure both fully clothed and not
Well,
and sober.
yeah, I was
If
gonna
that
say
doesn't
it.
apply, then maybe don't go to that image.
Yeah, a couple beers in, like this is great.
hmm
May
hmm
not work out great for some companies. So I mean, like when you see
Yeah.
people coming in, how do you evaluate their leadership potential? as they roll in, whether it's entry level or senior? I mean, what are the hallmarks?
Yeah, I just ask them. I mean, I do have the benefit of like having done this enough to know, and from the military, just knowing kind of where they deployed and the team sizes and things like that. Generality. So I'm starting maybe with a leg up with some of the other folks I'm interviewing. But when I'm interviewing people that are not from the military, where don't have that, I start out with a conversation like, well, just describe a day in the life of what are the things that you deal with. And I don't worry about, I'm not usually asking people about particular equipment sets or, whatever. I'm just like, tell me where you dealt with, interpersonal conflict. Where you had to make it smooth something over, that something you inherited, a team that you joined, and the card had already been dealt, and you've got a team of people that you didn't necessarily hire and haven't groomed, and there's a conflict. How do you walk through that? Tell me about that. And then they just listen to their answer. They're like, wow, I don't know. I've never done that. Okay, well, I bet you have. Think about it for a minute. And they're like, big or small, it doesn't matter the story. And I don't really care the story. I just want to know how you thought through it. How did you approach that? Because I want to know that, because every interview that companies are looking at, they're trying to imagine you solving a problem that they have. They don't ask a question just arbitrarily like, hey, tell me about a conflict, because I'm generally curious, because that sounds like an awkward conversation. No, we got conflict every day. There's people, just anything that's got people in it's got conflict. And so like, hey, last week we had a fight out here between Mary and Jill, and it was all over something else, whatever, budgets or something silly, or the way something was designed. And I just want to know, I know you've never dealt with the situation we're dealing with, but you've dealt with conflict. Tell me about how you did it. What was the situation? And so that's what I look for. And I want to find out, like, how did you calm the group down, or send them to the corners, or, discipline them, or what was your approach? And then I can evaluate what I'm doing is evaluating, like, oh, okay. Could have used you when Jill and Nancy went at it last week. That's awesome. Great. Because we got that. We got the same jerks and idiots that work for you. They work here too. And we have those problems. So I think that those kinds of examples from your life are valuable to kind of think about ahead of time as you go and prepare for things. And you also got to imagine, if the interview focuses on things like conflict, focuses on like budget constraints and crisis management or whatever, well, those are the issues that company is dealing with. And that's the environment you're going to have to be, they're looking for you to solve those kinds of problems. And so if you're answering the questions going, wait a second, I don't like doing any of those things at all, then you're in the wrong room. You're barking to the wrong tree with the wrong company, because the things they want to talk to you about are things that they are imagining you can help solve for them. And so again, if you're like, no, I don't want that, then that you better than we know you. And you need to decide whether this is the right fit for you.
So how do you approach balancing the performance expectations while building that culture? Because I mean, sometimes those things can clash. Where like, hey, we got to get the performance up, but we also got to support the culture. I mean, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't think they're mutually exclusive. I think that's the same. You're pulling the same rope, because they're all contribute to the business success. You can't get a product out the door if you're fighting all the time. You can't get the machinery working if there's budgetary constraints, because you don't have any money to do anything. So it tends to be that it's all the same thing. It's kind of like sometimes you have to take a step up and say, like, what are we trying to accomplish here? Just like you did in every other job you've had. Like, okay, we need to do 3 things at once. Okay, well, that is not physically or humanly possible. I can't do 3 things at once. So what do you want me to do first? Well, all 3. Okay, well, let's go back to the premise that we can't do that. So what are we trying to accomplish? All 3 things. Okay, great. Now, which one is most important? Okay. And which ones conflict with one another? And you just kind of work through it. So I don't think these, performance and these are two separate conversations. They are two parts of solving the same problem. And you just have to kind of prioritize them and say, well, which one is going to prevent the other one from happening? Well, then we've got to tackle it in the order that makes sense. You're playing golf. You don't start on hole 18. We're going to get there. That's going to happen. But we're going to start here at 1. We're going to work our way to 18, unless you're in a scramble. But so same things. There's an order to things. But you're like, oh, let's go play golf. We're like, oh, well, I don't have any clubs. Well, okay, let's go fix that. That seems to be critical. Or and then go play golf. But yeah, it's just they're all connected. And if you don't think they are, or then step back and look at it, because they are, and then work your way through whatever immediate problem needs to be tackled to get to the bigger problem, which is whatever the success of the business, the product line, the whatever.
So you got a very broad-based experience, seen a lot of companies. So I mean, how do we as veterans just evaluate whether a company genuinely values our service, or if they're just checking the old veteran friendly box to look good?
I don't know. That's a good question. I think kind of proof's in the pudding. So you can look, and there's plenty of resources that can let you know how balanced is that crew. There's not, some do check it because I don't know, maybe there's some brand value in doing that, I guess. But most companies are not. I mean, there are some companies that are all about, consumer business, right? And so they're very influenced by perception. And people make dollar choices based on perception. So people that are in those kinds of industries spend a lot of energy on brand image, and that having a veteran balance might suit their brand image. But it's for, sometimes it's just for that. It's like, I think I could sell this for a higher product if I have the veteran stamp on it. It's pure math and accounting. And more broadly, though, this has got some real value to us. It checks a lot of boxes for us. We've got great skills, we've got diversity of workforce, we've got blah blah blah, and we had a great brand. Okay, so it's kind of like an afterthought for most companies. They're like, I need great people. We're going to find great people. But you know what? I bet the military, because you went through a pretty rigorous training program and selection scheme to get there, and you've been in unbelievably complex problem solving. Okay, that's hugely valuable. Oh, you're a veteran too? Well, that's awesome. Do we get we get some credit for that? All right, high five. That's the way I've seen most businesses approach it. It's like, that's the afterthought. The core product of the value that veteran brings is the most valuable thing. But I would just evaluate it, if you're looking outside in, just, whatever, go to their LinkedIn page or go wherever their public, information is housed, and say, what's the general makeup? Go do some snooping around. Well, how many veterans do you see on the homepage or on the LinkedIn website thing, and do your own homework. But I mean, that's a good question. I don't know how to evaluate, other than just doing the detective work yourself and figuring it out. I think the other thing too is in the front, you again, it goes back to you. You have to decide what's important to you. What's important to me doesn't matter. What's important to you matters. Again, going back to this kind of relationship idea, I jokingly mentioned, when you were talking about what am I doing this weekend, I got a 49% vote. Well, that's not true. I got a 50% vote, and my wife has a 50% vote. Okay, well, it's equal. I can't force it. She can't force it. Now, that's not for those of you married. It doesn't always work that way. So you pick and choose your battles you're going to fight and win. But at the end of the day, we have a choice about what we're doing, and companies are the same. They're gonna be, they're trying to make a decision in their best interest, but they can want you to come to work for them, and you could say no. You've got 100% no vote. No, thank you. But I really want you. Well, still no. Well, what if I did this? Okay, maybe that changes it. I don't know. But but And then vice versa. You can say, well, I really, really want to go to Pratt Whitney. Okay. No. It's got to be equal. Both parties have to agree this makes sense.
Mhm.
Just like a relationship. I was like, I really want to be married to my wife. She's like, no. Or the other way around. I really want to be married to you. No. Both parties have to say, this is the best decision we could make. And the other thing that's really very similar to like dating relationships with work is it doesn't end when you say yes. So I got married and you're like, okay, we're never talking again. And this is going to be awesome. I've solved all the problems that are in a relationship. We're just going to move on from here. No. Every day you're like, we're checking in. You're like, we cool? Yeah, we're cool. Now, I mean, that's a little bit, we don't do that. That's a little bit over the top, but there's this constant balance of like, is this right? Yeah, it makes sense. Is it okay? And it's about food and kids and politics and religion. And we're always like, this, just a company, you guys are constantly, you've got to maintain a level seesaw, because if it gets out of whack, then you start to,
Wander.
whatever. Well, you start to lose faith and trust and confidence, whatever it is, whether it's relationships or work. You're like, this isn't balanced. I feel like I'm getting taken advantage of. And then guess what? This doesn't make sense to me. Okay. We'll either have a conversation to level the seesaw again and make a change within the relationship, whether it's personal or work with the company you're working with, or don't and get the heck out. That's fine too. But companies are doing that. They're evaluating you and they're trying to find a yes. Okay. And you should do the same, but don't shoehorn it in. A lot of people are like, I really want to work for that company. Okay. Are you willing to travel around the world? Oh, no, I did that in the military. Well, that's what they need you to do. That's what the job is. Like, oh, well, I want the job, but I don't want to do that. Okay. Well, then you don't want this job. The job is here. The paycheck is there. It's that kind of thing. So you got to decide what is the thing that you want out of your side of the equation, and what are you willing to kind of give in, and then the companies are doing the same.
Yeah, so this is my last question, unless anybody else has any questions, and toss the hands up. But if you give one piece of advice to any of the folks transitioning, whether they're here or not, what do you think it would be?
One piece of advice: figure out what you want first, and that means lifestyle, or at least get your range out. I want to live in the southern states. I want to live in warm climates. I want to live up north. I want to live on the coast. I want a life balance that includes this. These kinds of working hours. But figure out what is on your must-have list, and that's dollars and location and work styles, whatever the things that are important to you first, and then go look. It's kind of like going fishing. I think I want to go catch this kind of fish. All right, am I just randomly going out there anywhere and throwing my hook in the water? No, I'm doing some homework. Like, okay, I described a specific kind of fish that I want to try and catch. So I'm going to have to get, lined up and ready to go. So you figure you out first. That's step one. And then go fish for companies. Like, this is the box that I've drawn. And this is how it fits on the world landscape of job openings that are there. There's tons of fish out there. You're going to catch something, but it ought to be the fish that you were after. It ought to be the company you were after, because you're focused on you. We're focused on us. Mm-hmm. And so there's tons of stuff out there. That's what I'd say. Start with you. Start with what you want and what's your kind of parameters for things. And then, then you have to go farther afield from that, depending on kind of, choices. But I would start there.
Yeah, I love that analogy, because you have to throw the bait out there and you got to work it back the right way during an interview. That's a great analogy. I'm going to totally steal that. So thank you.
Sure,
Jose,
I'm probably stole it
Go
from
ahead,
somebody
sir.
else, I'm sure.
Yeah. Hey, multiple
Yes.
thefts.
Hey, Scott.
Hey,
Hey,
Jose,
Scott.
how are you?
I'm doing good, sir. You have an amazing experience and talking with all these companies and stuff, and I'm just really curious. Um, what's keeping you working in the company? Like, what attracted you to the role that you're doing now? Like, what's keeping you like working that? What's like in your state, like, having so many experiences and such? Like, what? I'm just interested in that. What's
Sure.
keeping you there?
I don't know what else I would do, honestly, and get bored if we weren't doing something like this. But it really does come down to, for me, this is the first for Q Cells. Q Cells is a solar company, right? So we make solar panels, and it's the first company in the U.S. ever to do what we're doing here in Cartersville, Georgia. So most of this industry is, quite honestly, in China. About 98% of the global solar industry is in Southeast Asia, with most of it being in China. And so it's kind of cool to be like, we're doing this for the first time. It's pretty amazing to be. We were on this, like landing on the moon. We landed on the moon. Like, oh, why do you do that? Because I want to be the first guy that landed on the moon. That's why I'm doing it. So why am I doing this? Because I want to be the first guy landing on this facility in the US doing this thing. And nobody can take that away from me. We don't talk about anybody other than Neil Armstrong and the people that set foot on the moon. Tell me the 15th astronaut that set foot on the moon. Nobody can, right? That's not the
Jose,
thing.
his name was Jose.
Yeah, it might have been Jose, right? But it's that kind of thing. So for me, it's about the opportunity to do something that's never been done in the U.S. and do it with a group of people that are really committed to trying to do it. And that's a lot of fun to be in that kind of environment. Like, we're going to do this. It's almost impossible. Won't it be fun when we get it done? Yeah, that's a lot of work. Yeah, it is. But isn't that be awesome? Be first up and your name's on the plaque. Like, we did it. That's why I'm doing it. So, and I'll do it until it's no longer fun. But the good news is it keeps being fun for me, from the things that matter to me and my list of, things that are important on my scale. At some point, it won't be. I'll be more excited about, I don't know, driving a tractor and pushing dirt around in a retirement lot. But right now, it's this.
That's been fantastic. Scott, thank you very much. Before I let you go, do you have any closing thoughts?
No, I don't. I'm delighted to see so many people on the call today. If there's anything I can ever do to help any of you, happy to do it. Hopefully my LinkedIn profile's there. I'm connected to tens of thousands of people around the planet. If it's some garden spot out there that you've got your eyes set on, let me know. I'll connect you with anybody I might know. But again, best of luck. You're going to end up exactly where you're supposed to be. That's the way the world usually works. So just keep going and pushing forward. You're going to find the thing that's right for you. And if there's anything I can do to help you, let me know. But I enjoyed speaking to you today. Thanks so much for having me on.
Hey, thank you so much, Scott. Scott Bell, Q Cells in Georgia. Thank you very much. I'm definitely going to reach out and chat with you really quick in a little bit. But hey,
Okay.
This has been awesome. You got a great delivery, great attitude, and I love it. So thank you very much.
You're most welcome. Have a great afternoon, everybody. Take care of yourself.
Hey, take care. Okay, guys, we are going to break for lunch, and then we'll see you back here at 2 o'clock. Enjoy.